Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody has had a great start to their week. Welcome Armand, hi Honey Bar, Tushar, Carolina, good to see our moderator in this class. Students, we are looking at an IELTS speaking part 1. In this class, it's going to be a band 9 strong start. That's the goal for today. So while we wait for a few more of your peers, this lesson is presented by IELTS.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at GIELTS.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of great materials for you to improve your speaking and other skills for the IELTS exam. You're hearing an echo. Okay, I'm not sure why that is. Okay. Let me try something here. Okay, how about now? Does everybody hear an echo, or do you not hear me at all right now? Okay. I'm just trying to see how the mic... We're using a new system today, as you can probably hear. Okay. Alright, how is that? Is that good? Is the audio good? Okay. So I can't see it, but alright. Alright, so some of you are saying it's perfect. And okay. Yeah, we're using a new system. You guys can probably see that it's a little bit of a different setup, and you can see me better than usual as well. So yeah, we're using a different setup. Alright, okay, so let's continue on. Then I don't need this, okay. Alright everyone, so thank you for that feedback. So I'll show you our websites real quick while we continue. This is our general IELTS website here with the green background. And you can click this big red button to join our premium package there and get lots of help with your speaking. This is our academic IELTS website here at aehelp.com. You can click this big red button to join us there. So, alright. Okay, the video's definitely better if you're saying you can't see, you can see my unbuttoned third button there, Joseph, so thank you for that. Alright. Okay, so, these are our websites, check those out, you can also download our apps from your Google Play Store. You can get our app Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help, and you can link those to your web accounts. So you can get that from Apple or from Android. If you have any questions, you can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. So any questions about IELTS or any questions about our products, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer for you, okay? Alright, so let's look at the schedule for the upcoming week. So right now we have speaking part 1, and this is speaking, so make sure to speak and repeat. Okay, so copy my intonation, copy my pronunciation, and do your best. So again, don't worry if you can't copy me perfectly, that's fine. The video is being recorded so you can practice more later, okay? Alright, so let's get into it a little bit. So IELTS speaking is a roughly 12-minute interview The interview has 3 parts. In the first part, which we're doing today, you will do your introductions, and the examiner will ask you some questions about you on a general topic. Then part 2 is a cue card, part 3 are more specific questions. So each part has some specific strategies that we're going to talk about. Cass, that's awesome that you joined our premium course. I hope you are enjoying that. Okay, so here we go, everyone. Let's just get right into it with some practice, and then I'll give you some strategy as we go along. So you walk into your interview, and the very, very first question the examiner will ask you will be, may I see your identification? Okay? They want to see your identification. They want to match it with your registration information, and they want to make sure that you are you, okay? So give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Okay, may I see your identification? Okay. Atharwa says, sure. Atharwa, you want to give more fluency, okay? So show fluency right from the very start, even with this question. Okay. Deadly Killer says, sure, here it is. Again, it's short. That's only 4 words. Okay. Mi Yan says, certainly, here's my ID that I used for registration a few weeks ago. Please have a look. That's much better. That's much better fluency. Okay. Proud Nerd says, sure, sir, I've got my passport that I used to register for my test 4 months ago. Please allow me a moment to find my credentials page. Yeah, that works well. Sammy says, yes, certainly. Here's my international ID card that I used to register for this exam a couple of weeks ago through online portal. Please have a glance. 1 second, let me flip to the pages with my credentials. Nice, so that's good fluency, and that's what you want, okay? So, just as a very kind of first tip, okay, show fluency right away, okay? Examiners, one of the questions that's always floating around in the examiner's head when somebody sits down is, how fluent is this person? How fluent are they in English? Okay, so tip number 1 is show fluency right away from the very beginning. From the very first question. Okay. So, may I see your identification? Give a nice full sentence answer. Yes. Absolutely. Here is my passport that I used for registration a couple of weeks back, and a few minutes ago when checking in for this exam. Okay, which is a kind of an interesting one to say. Don't forget that, right? Because you have to show up to your IELTS speaking interview 20 minutes before your interview starts, and you have to register your passport that you use for your online registration. Now, it's kind of cool to answer this way because checking in is already a paraphrase for registration. So not only are you showing fluency with this answer, but you're also showing that you can paraphrase for some nice dynamic English. So registration and checking in, they're kind of synonyms. So to check in is a phrasal verb for register. So here we go, everyone. Repeat after me. May I see your identification? Yes, absolutely. Here's my passport that I used for registration a couple of weeks back and a few minutes ago when checking in for this exam. Also notice that here you're using a conditional right away, okay? So when checking in for this exam. So fluency from the beginning is very, very important. Let me just move this a little bit like that, and I think you'll see the full sentence a little bit better, okay? All right. Ankit, general YouTube channel, we will stream there as well. The issue is that the streaming software needs to get set up a little bit more for that, or we need to figure out how to do that. It's not as easy as we thought, so that's why, but we'll figure it out. Okay, and then the next question. So the question after you show your ID is, what is your full name? Okay? So, again, full sentence answer. Think about this like a professional interview, so don't just think about it like a chit-chat with your friend. So don't just say, I'm John Smith, okay? You want to be more fluent than that, okay? All right? VG says, my given name is Vijaya and my family name is Pasala. Please call me VG for short. That's what my friends and family members call me, and I'm comfortable with it. Very good. Atharwa says, my first name is Atharwa and my family name is Pandey. My friends call me AD sometimes, but you can call me Atharwa. Atharwa, I wouldn't say what your friends call you if you don't want the examiner to call you that. It's a little bit awkward. Okay. Sammy says, my full name is Subash Sankar and my surname is Pulivarthi. Please call me by my nickname Sammy. That's what my friends and mates call me, and I'm very comfortable with it. Ritesh says, my given name is Ritesh and my family name is Divakar. Please just call me Ritesh. That's what I go by. I like it, Ritesh. That's what I go by is actually a nice kind of natural expression that's commonly used by English speakers. Okay. Arms and Legs says, my name is Svetlana and my surname is Voronina, but please call me just Lana for short. It makes me comfortable. Okay, good. That's very good, Arms and Legs. Harwinder says, my full name is Harvinder Singh, but please use my nickname Jadoo to address me. Harwinder, it's good. Don't say alias. Alias is a bit awkward. We say nickname. Alias is used in a bit of a different context, so don't use that, okay? Use nickname, don't use alias. Okay. All right, good. So again, you want to show fluency and you want to be professional. Okay. So tip number 2 is you want to present professional and intelligent communication throughout the interview. The examiner should not feel like they have to pull information from you. Okay? You must be forward with your speaking. Okay? So maybe some of you have heard this before, but for English teachers, it's very painful when they feel like they have to pull the language from the speaker like a dentist is pulling teeth, okay? So the examiner should never feel like they're out communicating the candidate. Okay, the candidate has to be more fluent than the examiner. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? So the candidate has to be more fluent than the examiner. So if the examiner says, what is your full name? And you say, I'm John Smith, then the examiner is more fluent than you. They're using more words. They're speaking more than you. Okay, so the examiner should never feel like they're speaking more than the candidate. All right, that's super, super important. Okay, all right. So you have to outspeak the examiner. Okay? So even for this question, what is your full name? You'd want to give something like, my given names are Thomas and David. David being my middle name. And my family name is Johnson. But please just call me Tom. It's what I go by. Okay? Alright? So you have to outspeak the examiner. Okay? Again, repeat after me. And when you're practicing, always practice questions and answers. So, what is your full name? My given names are Thomas and David, David being my middle name, and my family name is Johnson, but please just call me Tom. It's what I go by, okay? This will, of course, also help you to feel more confident. So when you're being fluent, you're going to be more confident. You're building more confidence, okay? Max Inferno says, so Adrian, what you're saying is that, in short, we have to use more words to speak. Okay, and this short speaking would have a negative effect on our first impression. Okay, yeah, absolutely. And first impressions when you're speaking are very, very important. Okay, so people definitely make a lot of inferences or assumptions based on what they hear a person say from the very beginning. Okay, all right. Okay. So good. And then the examiner will continue with some general questions for part 1. Okay. So perhaps they might ask you something like, where do you live? So give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Again, use your words. So where do you live? Okay, where do you live? DK says, I'm just going to acronym deadly killer because I don't like saying that over and over. So DK says, I live in a small town which is located in Haryana. The people of our town are so friendly and there are lots of amenities. Okay, instead of talking about your town more, like people are friendly and lots of amenities, talk about where you live more, okay? So I live in a house, it has 3 bedrooms. I've been living there for the past 20 years. Okay, so talk about where you live more than trying to describe your city, okay? Because that's not the question. $1 Million says, I was born in Uzbekistan from Bukhara. It's an old city which has lots of attractions. What you may be interested to see, but nowadays I live in Russia. Okay, don't use the word things, $1 Million, all right? Always find a better word. So instead of things, use landmarks, use attractions, amenities. So use your vocabulary, okay? Ankit says, well, I live in Ahmedabad, which is one of the big and developed cities of Gujarat in India. If someone were planning to move to Gujarat, he or she could probably choose it due to a good livelihood. Again, not so much about your city, but more about where you live. Okay? So this is my next tip here for high band scores. It's very important to focus on the question. Okay? So tip 3. Do not go off topic. So for high band scores like band 7, 8, 9, you really have to have accurate language and accurate communication. Okay? For example, where do you live? Talk about where you live more specifically rather than describing your city, okay? So you might think, well, if I keep describing my city, that is where I live, but you would do better to describe specifically where you live. So, for instance, I live in a large 3-bedroom condo with my family in downtown Vancouver, which is the largest city in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Okay, all right. So more about where I actually live. Okay. So again, repeat after me. Where do you live? I live in a large 3-bedroom condo with my family in downtown Vancouver, which is the largest city in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Right? Now, with this information, I've given a lot of specifics from small to big of where I live, and that's the right kind of approach to get a better band score. So, specifically answering the question. Okay? All right. Gulbanu says, I live in a 2-story house which has 7 rooms. My room is on the 2nd floor. I adore my room because it's comfortable and cozy. Okay? All right. Good. Bernard says, I reside in the western part of Lumbini province and Althoi. It is a small city, but it's densely populated. Okay, and do you live in a house or an apartment? All right. Okay. And now the examiner might ask you another question like, what do you like about your hometown? Don't overthink it. So just talk about the city where you live. Okay, so what do you like about your hometown? Okay, so for instance, I like that Vancouver is a very modern city. It is clean and it is multicultural. So there are lots of amenities and activities. Just the other day, I did some Latin dance at the Argentinian cultural club with my friends, and it was loads of fun. Okay? Alright, so again, nice fluency, don't overspeak, and here's the next big tip and a reminder. Always answer, explain, example. Alright? So what do you like about your hometown? I like that Vancouver is a modern city, it is clean, and it's multicultural. So there are lots of amenities and activities. Just the other day, I did some Latin dance at the Argentinian Cultural Club with my friend, and it was loads of fun. Okay? So reflecting back to Vancouver, the city where I live, okay, being specific, and then giving some details, explanations, and an example. All right. Okay. VG says there are several activities that I like about my hometown, or there are several aspects that I like about my hometown. Above all, I would say it is the hospitality that I like. Okay, good. Ritesh says, well, I really love the food. There are many kinds of Aurangabad. It's called in the City of Gates, and there are tons of places like the Ajana. It's a bit confusing for me. There needs to be more clarity there. Okay? Jasmine says there are some reasons why I enjoy living in my hometown. It's well known as an eco-friendly town. It also has some parks and rivers. The fresh air soothes every individual's mind in the morning. Okay. That's a good answer. I like how it's original. I like how there's some nice original content there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Mi Yen says there are many buildings and infrastructures. The most famous skyscraper is Landmark 81, which is the tallest building in Southeast Asia, and I'm really proud of it. Okay, Mi Yen. Not bad. You're kind of going off topic by focusing on one landmark, but it's okay. I guess that's what you like about your city, is that landmark. Okay, Kush says, I like Hanoi, the capital, with old French architecture buildings, and the food's just amazing here. All right, a little bit more fluency. Han Han says, I love that Tashkent has lots of parks and beautiful gardens. In fact, the food is incredibly affordable, unlike other cities in the world where I've traveled to, where the food costs an arm and a leg. Okay. Sorry, Hanan, that was I read DK's as the ending of yours. The weather is nice because the city is surrounded by beautiful mountains and the people are friendly. Okay, that's great. All right. Good job, students. So again, you want to show lots and lots of fluency, and you want to stay specific to the question that you are being asked. Okay? It's super, super important. All right? Very, very important to do that. Okay, let's go to our next question. So, usually there are some kind of general questions on a general type of topic. In this case, the topic is languages. All right? So here, the examiner might introduce it, or they might just keep going and ask you the question, but oftentimes they'll say, okay, let's talk a bit about languages. How many languages do you speak? Okay, again, show lots of fluency, so don't just say 2, okay? But you have to say more, so don't give one-word answers, all right? So, how many languages do you speak? Here, of course, it would be clever to name the languages, and then also give a little bit of detail of how well you speak them, or maybe why you speak those languages, right? So, how many languages do you speak? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Sammy says, I can converse in 5 languages, English, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, and Malayalam fluently, though I can't read all of them. It's really helpful for me when I'm traveling across these regions, okay, or states which speak these languages, Sammy. Honey Patel says, well, to be honest, I speak a couple of languages like English, Gujarati, Hindi, as well as Punjabi. Okay, honey, you're definitely being honest, so don't say to be honest, okay? That's not going to be a benefit, so don't say to be honest. That's awkward. Paulo says, I speak Portuguese, my native language. English is my second language. Besides that, I speak some French and Italian. Among these languages, I like French the best. I'm in love with it. Okay, Paulo, very good. Some grammar corrections, all right? Muhammad says, well, I'm able to speak in 3 languages, Uzbek and Russian. I can easily communicate with everyone who speaks in these languages, and last but not least, English. Okay, Muhammad, so last but not least, English. $1 Million says, I can speak 4 languages, Uzbek, Russian, Tajik. Very good. Okay, that kind of flew out of my sight there, but it was a good start. July says, I can speak 3 languages, Vietnamese, English, and Korean. Vietnamese is my mother tongue. I've learned English for around 10 years, mainly because English is a regular school subject in Vietnam. Honestly, I don't speak Korean as fluently. I studied it for over 12 months since last summer. I aim to get a job in Korea in the future, so I started picking up this language. Very good. Okay, so I see lots of good answers. So how many languages do you speak? I am proficient in 3 different languages. I speak both English and Hungarian as a native, and I speak conversational Japanese. However, I am not able to write in Japanese as the alphabet is quite complex and difficult to remember. Okay, so a bit of information, all right? Fluency, here we go. So how many languages do you speak? I am proficient in 3 different languages. I speak both English and Hungarian as a native, and I speak conversational Japanese. However, I'm not able to write in Japanese as the alphabet is quite complex and difficult to remember. Okay? So be original, be yourself, be fluent, give details. That's how you get a high band score. So band 7, band 8, band 9 in the IELTS requires good communication. It requires you to speak well. Okay? Joshua says, I can converse in 2 languages, even though Tamil is my mother tongue. I widely use English as my primary language. An example, I use English at my workplace, which takes up most of my day. Okay? You don't need to say example, Joshua. Just say, I use English at my workplace, which takes up most of my day. Okay? And that's plenty enough. Alright? Okay, next question. Here we go. Why is it important to speak a second language? So give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Why is it important to speak a second language? Okay? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Why is it important to speak a second language? Rajveer, answer this question and I'll make sure that I get it, okay? Alright. Karen says, speaking alternative languages aids you in numerous ways. One of them is to interact with foreign individuals, which is the most important, I think. Karen, not bad. Don't use the word you in IELTS speaking. So don't say you. Just say people or the speaker or the individual, okay? Sandy says it's mandatory to speak a language which is different from the mother tongue because it's not only helpful to improve communication skills, but also boosts intelligence. Okay, as I mentioned that I know several languages and this helps me to think more critically. Harwinder says, I think it's really important to be proficient in a second language because it's helpful in thought processing. I believe that a person who speaks only a single language doesn't know the language at all. Okay, that's an interesting opinion. Paulo Reese says, I believe that speaking another language unlocks infinite possibilities, especially when it comes to English. We have access to all types of information and knowledge, and it's amazing. Okay, very good. Yeah, nice fluency. So your fluency should be about the entire character space for your YouTube comment, okay, for a question like this. Tail Bryan says, well, from my perspective, speaking a second language, especially a world language, can give a person a chance to have a better job and also helps boost intelligence. Yeah, absolutely, okay? So, I believe there are several reasons to speak a foreign language, not only to be able to communicate with many more people, especially when a person speaks a world language such as English, but also to boost critical thinking, which can lead to better job opportunities and a better quality of life. In fact, speaking Japanese has been very lucrative for me in my English education career. Okay, there we go. So here is a typical high band answer for you. Okay, you have an answer, an explanation, and an example. So why is it important to speak a second language? I believe there are several reasons to speak a foreign language. Not only to be able to communicate with many more people, especially when a person speaks a world language such as English, but also to boost critical thinking, which can lead to better job opportunities and a better quality of life. In fact, speaking Japanese has been very lucrative for me in my English education career. Okay? Alright, so notice that here I'm introducing some good paraphrasing and also some good vocabulary. Okay? Foreign language instead of second language. Okay? Here we have a correlative conjunction, so not only, but also. It emphasizes. Okay, so not only, but also. That emphasizes the 2 points in my explanation. So not only to be able to communicate with many more people. Here I have an additive clause, especially when a person speaks a world language such as English, but also to boost critical thinking, okay, which can lead to better job opportunities and a better quality of life. In fact, speaking Japanese has been very lucrative for me in my English education career. That's my smooth flowing example, okay, connecting back to my previous response. So you want to connect among your answers, all right? Okay. Okay, let's go to the next question here. So I think a lot of people are starting to really figure that out, okay? So apply all of these tips that I've given you. Use the questions, stay on topic, give a full sentence answer, give an explanation with a smooth example, paraphrasing, include some correlative conjunctions when possible. Here we go. What are the most common languages in your country and why? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So, what are the most common languages in your country and why? Okay, give me a nice full sentence answer. Notice that the why is in brackets. They may or may not ask you that depending on your response. Okay? So, one more time. What are the most common languages in your country? Alright, Ankit says the most common language in my country is Hindi, as it's widely spoken in major cities. It's marked as the national language. Alright, Karan says Hindi is the widely used language in my country, as it is also recognized as a national language, and most documentation is done with this language. Name your country. I'm guessing it's India. Okay. Make sure to name the country. So be specific. Joshua says, India is a land of multiple languages. It is believed that there are more than 500 languages and dialects, but Hindi and English are the two languages that come to my mind which are used the most. Okay, Joshua, good. Why? Why is Hindi and English used the most? Explain that, okay? Oh, it says, in my country, Syria, the most important languages besides the Arabic language are English and French, and it is mandatory to study these three languages from grade 1 to university so that people can find job opportunities. Very nice, Ois. Okay, that's a good explanation. Fantastic. Okay. Muhammad, I didn't see what your problem was, so just send me an email, okay? You can always go to ahelp.com or glshelp.com and send us an email, okay? Plaban says, obviously Bangla is the most widely used language in my country as it is our national language, but English is also used a lot as an official language. Why? Okay. Barzin says, in Iran, although the local language is Persian, English has become prominent among the population for fairly obvious reasons. Go into more detail. Okay. Paulo says, in Brazil we speak Portuguese because our country was colonized and developed by Portugal, where Portugal is the official language. Yeah, absolutely, Paulo. Okay, so that makes sense. I saw the first part above. That was good, okay? All right. Very good. All right, so lots of languages. Don't go into the details. So I know that in some countries there are lots of dialects and languages, but again, don't get lost in your own thoughts. Make sure to focus on the question. So here the question is the most common languages in your country. So the most common languages. Okay, so Canada is considered a bilingual nation with the official languages being English and French, as these two cultures imperialized Canada over the past 400 years. However, German, Ukrainian, Arabic, and Mandarin are also commonly heard on the streets, as there has been major immigration from these cultures in the past, and there are big populations of people from countries speaking these languages. All right. Yes, so Canada is also a country of many languages, as you can probably imagine. All right. And you can commonly hear many different languages depending on where you are. There are about 4 million Germans in Canada, so German is quite useful in Canada as well. Here we go. Repeat after me. So again, this is a speaking class, and it's great that many of you are typing furiously your answers into the chat, but I also want you to speak, so make sure to speak, okay? Here we go. So what are the most common languages in your country? Why? Canada is considered a bilingual nation, with the official languages being English and French, as these two cultures imperialized Canada over the past 400 years. Imperialize basically means that people went from that country and said, we're going to other places to conquer and control those places, okay? So that's what imperialize means. However, German, Ukrainian, Arabic, and Mandarin are also commonly heard on the streets, as there has been major immigration from these cultures in the past, and there are big populations of people from countries speaking these languages. Which is very, very true. Okay? Alright, let's do one more question for today, just for fun. Here we go. Let's do this last one. If you could choose one more language to learn, what would it be? And of course, why? So even if the examiner doesn't ask you why, you should answer why. So, if you could choose one more language to learn, what would it be? Now, here's an important tip, students. In your IELTS speaking exam, make sure to use the question in your answer. So here, you want to use the conditional. If you could choose one more language to learn, what would it be and why? Okay? All right? So, give me a nice full sentence answer for this one, okay? Use the conditional. Use the conditional. Alright? So, if you could learn, or if you could choose one more language to learn, what would it be and why? I'll give you my answer while you think about yours, okay? Alright, so there's my answer. Supernatural says, apart from native Russian, I speak English, French, and Italian pretty well, but I'd love to learn Czech. The first reason is that the Czech language is quite similar to some of the languages that I speak, so I would pick it up easily. Okay. Manpreet says, without a shadow of a doubt, it would be French, and this is because after English, French is the most widely spoken language in many parts of Europe. And it's spoken in countries like Canada too. Okay, very good. Actually, Spanish is more widely spoken than French, but yeah, both French and Spanish are good. Of course, Mandarin these days would be very useful as well. Abhishai Patel says, if I were to choose any language, I would go with Spanish because it's second to English in popularity and it will provide me with a good means to travel in North America and some European countries. Yeah, Spanish is actually spoken by a lot of people in North America as well, South America especially, but even in the US, a lot of people speak Spanish in the US. US has a massive Spanish-speaking population as well. Very, very good. Darini says, as I want to excel further in my profession as a physical therapist, many athletes come from Germany. So learning the German language for me would be of great benefit. Darini, very nice. Okay, good original explanation. Okay. Ankit says, if I could choose one more language to learn, I would choose the English language as it's global and it helps me to communicate in any corner of the world. Ankit, in this question, I think the examiner means aside from English. If you're in the IELTS interview, it means that you probably speak English fairly well already. So you'd want to think of another language like French or German or Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic. Okay? All right. All right, Rashika would love to learn Japanese. Let's see. Rajveer, send me your answer by email. I missed it, and I'm having trouble going back in the chat right now because it's just flying along. So there's a lot of chat going. So you can always send it to me by email as well. You can even send me a recording of your speaking answers to get a free estimate of your speaking level. Okay, so you can send that to me by email. All right. Mohammed says, oh, if I had an opportunity to single out a language, I would definitely choose French because I love not only the pronunciation, but also the country where this language is native. Okay, all right. Very good, students. So those are the tips for today. Nice practice, good answers. I loved how many of you had very nice, original, fluent answers in today's chat. That's why I was having trouble keeping up with all your answers. There were so many of them coming into the chat, which was amazing to see. And I hope that all of you will come back tomorrow at this time. We're going to have another lesson. We're going to actually have 2 lessons tomorrow. It will be reading for members and then listening part 1 and 2 for everybody. That will be in tomorrow's class. So that's it for today. But do keep up practicing. Remember to visit our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and glshelp.com for general IELTS. You'll find lots of HD pre-recorded video lessons there. And again, it's a one-time payment for lifetime access, so check that out. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating this class. I really appreciate that. Thank you, members, for your support. Rajveer, contact me by email. It sounds like you're kind of stressing about your test. And I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day. Much love to wherever you are in this beautiful world. I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria for now. Bye.